This one here is the one that I wrote, is my
Okay.
proposal. Instead of having a separate classification, is to extend the grandfather section of
Okay.
the zoning ordinance itself.
And I wrote one, PD.
I figured we were going to be doing all that, so that's why I was like, let me just go ahead and.
One of you want to her. So we could either, this might be a good place to start, go through these, or do y'all want to, now that we have them, read them, study them, think about it, and do these next meeting?
Oh, might as well go ahead and do it now.
Okay.
By the way, this is a dermatologist.
So mine was too, but part of mine when I just took a shower ripped off my face, so that's why I have part pink but this was all brown. But when I went, he zapped me twice. It was only supposed to be once.
Zapped with what?
He froze it.
Froze. Okay.
Keratosis.
Yeah, but so it had gotten darker in a month's time. So he did the lower, and then he did like electroshock on this side, and then went back and did the higher spot, and he says, "Oh, that'll take a few months to heal." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you for telling me that."
Yeah,
now I have my anniversary
Well-
tomorrow, and I have a conference all next week. Thank you for.
Yeah.
And they were like, and it looked horrible within 45 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, it's going to brown and it's going to bubble. And he's like, don't even try to pop that until like the end of Tuesday. Just let it keep going. And I was like, I got home. I just had a huge mass of a bubble on the side of my face. And so it was better after I took care of it yesterday. But then I just got out of the shower and I was patting and it went. And I was like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
oh.
just not even thinking.
Well, I had to put the cream on this time. Normally they do that; they just burn it off with nitrogen. But I had several, and he says, "No,
Did you
just
do
go
the
ahead."
blue light peel? Where they put a cream on, then they put the blue light on your face?
No.
Oh, Bart had
What
that.
kind?
Bart had that done Monday, and he looked like a damn lobster and got blood spots.
Well,
from his.
this was red. Now it's just falling apart. And I guess
Mhm.
eventually it'll be healed. But in the meantime, looks like somebody hit me, got into a fight.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
thought
what,
that's what happened to you.
that's what I
thought
look
you wrecked
like.
that truck.
Yeah, no, with the brown on it before that old skin came off, it did look like I'd been in, or it looked like I fell and had carpet burn across my face.
Well,
So yeah, when I saw your face, I was like, oh, somebody else went to the dermatologist,
Yeah.
not just me.
well, I mean, I don't like to let them get basal cell because I've had 5 basal cells removed.
Mhm.
That's no fun.
No, Bart's had to have.
And so try to get it, and he said, this will pretty well keep you from getting no more. So anyway,
Oh, I'm over here flapping my sweater and I'm beating the mic to death. Okay, so yeah, I think in the last one you were asking what we had named them, and so over here we got AR, and then we strapped the SFE, and we have SF and B, but I thought we were gonna add SF1.
yeah, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. And we'll figure, and this might,
That was discussed, but it wasn't finalized, so that's why I didn't bring it.
Well, I think that's why I was supposed to kind of like try to get us some verbiage so
That's
we
why the
could
thing
try
we're
to,
written to talk about.
yeah. So,
Yeah, and then, yeah, and I mean, I think we all agree that that's what we do, is create several, however many make sense, single family classifications, and then just kind of go there. So which ones y'all want to start on?
Well,
Well, let's look
Well,
at
I
the
don't
single
have-
family because PD you'll have to do some explaining on what you want to,
Okay, start with
why you
single
wrote
family.
what you did.
so like I said, I pulled this straight off Parker. It was very simple, forward. I mean, their definitions in their zoning ordinance, there was not many definitions.
No, yeah, we got to do.
Which can be
one on our
dangerous.
definition.
but the transitional is
Well,
the
I mean,
same.
honestly, everything was covered, like
Mhm.
what they had listed in their definitions. It wasn't overkill, but it wasn't under. Like I think they literally defined,
Thorough.
they
but
were thorough,
basic.
basic but thorough. They pretty much, I mean, they did cover everything on it. And so they only had, theirs broke down to the 2 single families. The only reason why I basically kind of gave us this and not much more, because for their basic single family, the smallest the lot can be is 2 acres.
But
And then they were
Yeah.
like,
And-
they had how much, then they had a restriction on how, the width of the lot, which we're not trying to do that either. So I didn't put all that in
Well,
here because we're not making restrictions on what the width
well,
of the front of your lot is supposed to
but
be.
we have that.
Yeah, it's
Didn't
in
say
here.
I know, but I
Something
mean,
we're gonna
like,
talk
I
about.
didn't,
But what they do
that
is,
was more setback stuff. And so we were just trying to define the single family in the beginning.
Right.
So I was just kind of looking at, I know further we get into it, but I was just trying to work on where we're at in the section
Right.
to work. So that's why I put what we have. And I mean, I did put it on there just so y'all could, I didn't go into all the other ones, but the lot size, the minimum shall be 2 acres. And everything else was bigger. I mean, in our little definition here of what they mean, we don't get that in depth on this section where we're at trying to work on the,
So now, Parker, is that where the town where South Fork is?
yeah,
Okay, yeah, that was the one, I sat next to one of the councilmen, and he was telling me, well, this was back when we first started 5 years ago, at the thing you go to for new council members, and he was telling me about what all they had been through, and because they were trying to do the same thing we're trying to do,
Mhm.
which is limit the density. And so, anyway, they ended up, I thought they made it all 1 acre, but it's been
Yeah.
5 acres.
well,
5 years
what
ago.
they do is they have that minimum 2 acres,
It's 2
but,
acres.
but
yeah.
they allow, what I've been told is they pretty much approve every lot split to 1 acre. In other words, if you have 2 acres and split it, even though they don't have a classification for 1 acre, they'll let you do it.
Well, that's consistent with what he said. He said they just don't want anybody having these 1/4 acre lots, stuff like that.
Yeah. But if you want to see poetry in 10 or 15 years, go drive Parker. I think that it is as close to what poetry will look like that you'll ever
Those
see.
are pretty nice houses too.
Oh yeah, but see, but that's the beauty of what they is how they did it. See, they have no commercial development. You see daycare centers and you'll see churches, but you basically don't see any kind of commercial development. All the commercial development is
on
along
the
edge.
edges of the city.
When you go up there and you drive and you start seeing the little strip centers and things, you're out of Parker.
But their advantage is it's more of a rectangle
Oh,
or
yeah.
something like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's a shape. It's not
Yeah,
a,
so they don't have all the issues we have.
Yeah.
kinda.
So
Yeah.
what they do that, but what has happened is because it then became kind of a great place to go get you a couple of acres and build your nice house and maybe
Yeah.
have a couple of animals. And so what happened, you can't touch a residential acre of land in Parker for less than $350,000.
Yeah, and most of it has become mass developments. Grand Homes has bought up so much of it.
Oh yeah.
And even some lower quality builders. But I'd have to look back in my files, but I've done a lot of work on them. But yes, I do recall many under 2 acres.
Yeah.
That I've dealt with.
But when you raise that lot price up,
Mhm.
you know, the old theory is, you know, your
Wow.
land for residential is generally 20-25% of the value of the house. So that's why as land values go up, developers push towns like Rockwall come down on the lot size so they can still afford to build their same house. And that's what they've done.
But Parker didn't do that.
Well, they didn't do it but what they went to is more the estate town kind of
Yeah.
approach. You know, more of that kind of, you know, where a little more room, you're not touching your neighbors, and what it's done is just increase the land value, the lot value. So from that
I
standpoint,
didn't
it's
realize
good.
it was that high though.
And if you have a little bit of tax and you got property tax, that'll work. and you don't have to have the commercial and the sales tax necessarily.
So do they have property tax?
They would have to have something to have the money to do what they're doing, and I'm guessing it's property tax.
Yeah.
But I think at that point, with the way that, like you said, Parker is, because they're like that solid shape,
Mhm.
I think those people are like, hey, we have our land, we have our house, we don't have all the hustle bustle commercial.
Commercial.
Everything is built outside of
Thus
us.
the traffic. Yeah.
So like they value it a lot, and they're like, okay, if that's what we got to pay to have a little more peace and mind.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'll be honest with you. I mean, of course, nobody ever wants to have to pay property tax.
No.
But you know, like I work in the city, I deal with that all day long. You know, and then I deal with these poor neighborhoods that, like yesterday, went and had to serve a warrant. That 5 houses on one side just need to be plowed down. You know, and then I come home and get out here and then get on my street, and I'm just like, I don't care how much we would have to pay to have the peace and everything out here. Of course, you have to remember our land out here has went way high out here in Poetry. You can't just go buy an acre no more.
60,000 an acre now.
I mean,
when I moved out here, you
it's
could buy
crazy.
anything out here for 1,500 an acre.
We got deer country out here and Peace, and they have jacked that price up for that acreage now.
Well,
But I don't. Hey, let them jack it up. That
Well, it's
makes it
been
harder
up.
for people to
Yeah.
come out here.
That's what people are willing to pay. So
Hmm.
But I was always that way. I always had to commute in. I commuted into Addison mostly. And that's what it was. Man, by the time you get home, you said, I'm so glad I live in
But I mean, on the other
country.
hand, I absolutely, me and Bart absolutely love that. Yeah, no matter what, where we like to get to Terrell, okay, that's 15, 20-ish minutes. And then to get into Quinlan is 15-ish minutes. Rockwall, of course, is 28. But I mean, I know everyone wants to rag on Quinlan being the crackheads and all this kind of stuff, but you know, I absolutely love shopping at that Walmart in Quinlan. It's always clean, everyone's nice. We like going to our little, not super developed town.
Well, you know where we do most of our grocery shopping? We go to Fresh in Fate.
Mm.
Now, HEB, you
It's
know,
busy.
because we do a lot of organic, so we go to HEB a lot. But for our just daily runs or so, we go to Fresh and Fate. That's pretty decent, you know. But the beauty of it is you don't have to stop in Rockwall.
Yeah.
That's the kicker. Is trying to get home from Rockwall anymore.
Hmm.
So,
mm,
all right. So,
Okay, so what do y'all like or don't like about the little
well, let's read it.
single family part?
Is this speaker on? I'm sorry to interrupt.
All right.
Can y'all hear yourselves through this speaker?
Well, I talk loud, so I can always hear myself.
Everybody's mic is working, so. I think
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, sorry.
No, you're good.
Home occupation.
So they pretty much were really kind of similar. I mean, the only difference that I really saw was the second one is the average lot shall not be less than 1.5 acre net.
And we talked about gross last
Right.
meeting.
Yeah.
And we
So-
talked about taking,
So we're basically going from 2.5 to 2, right?
you mean
In the acreage.
the one from Parker?
Yeah, I mean, her rewrite.
Well,
the
yeah.
minimum size is 2 acres.
Well, right, and I was just copying what they had. I know that we had come
Yeah.
to an agreement that we were doing.
1 to 5 acres.
Yeah, and when we were originally talking about doing the SF1 was less than an acre, which I guess that would technically be the
Or up to an
SFT because they have the lower acreage opposed to the plain SF.
Yeah. I think the point that what we're trying to compare is the language underneath here,
Yeah.
especially single family, accessory dwellings, home occupation. The allowed uses, whereas I guess is what is confusing is the allowed uses under our
Yeah.
current.
Right, and so that's why I mean I was just
It's
putting that they
simplified.
it's simplified as to what the uses are compared to ours. because I thought that ours was still just a little complicated for people to understand it.
Well, and of course, in these documents that we read through, those uses were talked about, and talking about green spaces and the community buildings
hadn't
and that
got
were
there
allowed.
yet.
Yeah.
But did we, by the way, did we agree last time that SF was 2.0 or 1.0?
We're talking 1 to 5 acres for SF, and then toward the end, we started talking about breaking it into two
Yeah.
different categories.
You see, this is what I wrote down. This is talking about SF1. What I remembered we talked about, which may be different from what y'all remembered, but I said SF1 is district provides for residential use and development for lots less than 1.0 acres. That were in place and occupied prior to Town of Portree Incorporation, November 2020. The lots are not in compliance with current zoning requirements, but being grandfathered, the lots will not be subject to current zoning for the current owners and future owners. In other words, even if somebody buys them, this is what I thought we said, as long as the property is unchanged from the time of incorporation. In other words, they don't
Didn't
into-
subdivide.
Well,
now, that
that's-
might not be what y'all were
Well,
thinking.
it kind of
Kinda
it's kind of both. Like the part that you're talking about, that whole grandfather and all that. That's the part that he wrote on here.
Uh-huh.
I did that instead of writing
the
which-
grandfather part of all what you're talking about is over in here, but this is where we're just defining. We're simplifying over here where it has like the little chart, and then right under that it says AR and it gives the definition. And we had AFE, which we struck, and then the SF. This part is just to simplify.
You're talking
what-
about on page 3, Robin, this page?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So just right under the box where it has like SF, like this is to simplify, because if you read single family
Okay.
under that, it's complicated. Like it's not simple basic
Yeah.
form for people to understand.
Right.
So this is simple basic form of like what we could put in there in place of that. It won't be formatted exactly like this, but it would be wrote out,
okay,
but just
well,
simplified.
So on that table where there's now a blank for the horizontal, that would be SF1
Yeah, if we
or
had
whatever we're going to call it.
yes. So the single family residential district would probably stay with just the plain SF.
And that's 1 to 5 to less than 5.
Less than
But
5.
we're gonna go 2 to 5.
Yeah, but so we're gonna have the SF, one. and then we have I have wrote on here that we are gonna have we were gonna change the AR to AG.
AG, right?
And then for the ag, and then for some reason on here, I have on my paper, I have SF, and I have a 2, and it says single family and then business. Then as we got further down, we defined acres, and then we put, and then down here, I had put on here, add SF1 less than 1 acre, and that's why I put on here the single family transitional district, because that's like on Parker when they talk about that one, that was the less lot, like so I don't know if we really want to still label it SF1 but we need to figure out what we want to call it, and one
Right,
needs to
and then
be
we
the
can figure
single
out
family residential, and the other one needs to be the second one that's the less amount of acres that we're requiring.
But before we go there, if you could just the ag, the one we're calling ag residential, that the density in this district is limited to 1 residential dwelling per. It says now it was 2.5 acres.
Well, we can set that for where I was just when I put mine on there, that shall be 2 acres on the
Under ag?
yeah. Well, I think didn't we change that
I don't
on the
remember.
ag originally, the
We had-
2.5 or no?
We didn't change anything about the density or the
We just
buildings.
only
we
changed this to be AG.
And we started
AG
small
greater
and
than 5
working up
acres.
to that.
So originally it had 2.5 acres.
Yeah.
So density in this district is limited to 1 residential dwelling for 2.5 acres. So if they have 5 or more, they could basically put in 2 houses.
in theory.
Right.
Okay. All right, okay.
All right, so let's back up and make sure, because I think we're getting, like you just said, we kind of, all right, so,
So on the table though, where it says on the table, where it says AR, we need to have that say AG,
AG,
not
correct.
AR.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
thought I put that in the red line, but maybe I didn't.
All right, so let's talk.
It's highlighted. It's not
It's
written.
hi-
It's
That's
highlighted.
fine.
It's highlighted. Yeah, no,
This
you're
is-
good.
And then
Let's
SF,
just-
skipping the blank, but SF, single family, small residential properties. Did we agree 1 to 5.0 acres, or did we agree to something?
1 to 5
Okay.
was what
because-
we ended at.
Because it steps beneath the AG.
Right.
So it has to be 1 to 5.
Yes.
AG, right?
Yeah.
AG
Right.
is
Is
greater
than
than or
5.
equal to 5.
All right.
no,
So
it's
that
going to be
means
greater than.
So SF has to be less than 5. 1 to less than 5.
I thought we said 1 to 5, and then ag was
Yeah.
over greater than 5.
Yeah, less than, or we could go less than equal to 1, make a stop for the, what, lack of another word, SF1, and then single family, just single family, or we may go single family too, would be greater than 1.
That's why we're gonna have to have more than the SF1,
Mhm.
SF2. Scott, what'd you have here?
I was just reading what I wrote down on my notes, which is I think.
Why don't you come sit at the table with us?
Nah, I'll stay here. I gotta keep an eye on this too. So. I wrote
Keep them
down.
safe.
I wrote down SF less than 1 would be, well, less than 1 acre would be SF1.
Okay.
1 to 5 would be SF2, and then ag would be greater.
Greater than 5.
That's what I wrote down.
I'm
Now-
sorry, say it again. What would be SF?
SF would be less than 1.
SF or SF1?
SF1.
SF1, I'm sorry, you're correct. SF1 would be less than 1 acre.
And SF would be 1 to 5?
Well, I think we said SF2 at the last meeting.
Yeah,
Oh, we
Yeah.
called it SF1 and SF2?
Mhm.
for now, and we may
That's,
change all
that's
that.
fine. I don't,
Yeah.
Well, and here's my thoughts about that, and I've talked to some colleagues about it too. And if you have a zoning classification that you technically is obsolete, so SF1 would be, as soon as it's put into this document, it would be obsolete because it's not allowed zoning. Technically, it's a grandfathered
It's
use.
just there to protect
So
grandfather.
there, in my mind, there's no reason to even have that zoning classification whatsoever, because that property that is less than 1 acre can still be zoned the same. Then you take this ordinance, put it in as grandfathered, give them the rights to sell, to do whatever they want, to develop their 1/4 acre, less than acre, 3/4 acre, wherever it ends up. But they do need to comply with setbacks and things of that. Now, lot coverages and things like that may get sticky when they're lesser, but when you have an SF1 on the books, and then developers start coming to you, you have zoning classifications that you don't want to have in the future. You don't want to continue with.
but Brady, if it's grandfathered and it's less than 1 acre, then the width and distance and distance, those are meaningless
Well,
because it's grandfathered.
Well, the way this reads, it's grandfathered, and it's grandfathered, of course, no matter whether it's sold or not. But it is to be treated as if it's zoned under the single family one, the 1 acre.
Right.
And when we talk about setbacks, it's like, well, that would apply if it's whatever our setback is, 20 feet from the road or 5 feet from the sides. You would still expect the owner of that property to adhere to those minimums for development, but the town would not tell them they cannot develop. And it's permanent. It's not a non-conforming status. Non-conforming status is the type that would disappear
Right.
down the road. This is a permanent grandfather status for these.
yeah,
for
and
these
maybe
folks.
we need to put some little more grandfather language in there. But so let's just stay on this. Maybe this is the best way to do it. Let's just focus on this SF1, for lack of a better word. Well,
This is the grandfather.
the grandfather and
Yep.
grandfather.
Okay.
But all right, so here's the thing, and I did a little research. This is some of I pulled some plats and things of Hidden Oaks, which is all the area off of 24,
30,
um,
not
34,
30,
No,
24, 40,
24.
2440.
40, 24, 46, all those roads in there off back behind you.
Mhm.
All right. So it's, and primarily all of that area is called Hidden Lakes, Hidden Oaks. Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I pulled. So these are, and this is one of the problems that we're going to have. We have to, so let's talk about it. They have deed restrictions. Okay. And what we have right now is, if you look at their setback requirements, they have a minimum front foot setback, or minimum front feet along a road of 150 feet. The only lots in there with that zoning, the only lots in Hidden Oaks and Four Post and a couple other little areas, they can never split their lot because they're 250 feet, 267 feet. So effectively what we've done is, and kind of hurt the small property owner, because we set the front feet so wide that they can never split. But all of us can split.
But wait a minute, if they're grandfathered,
Well,
what
let's
does it mean?
but I think I agree. If they're grandfathered, okay, but the question becomes, so if we're locking them down to grandfather, and I'm not opposed to the grandfather concept, okay, but the problem we have out here is a lot of those lots have already split because their deed restrictions are absent as far as not allowing them to split. So they split. So
But
we
how many
have-
acres are we talking about that these lots that we're dealing
Well,
with?
we've got, there's probably a dozen lots or so in there that are, have been split, which means at least one of the lots is less than an acre. Okay, so we have those, because they've always been allowed to do that. So I think we have to kind of figure out how we want to weigh this. How do we grandfather the people, be fair to them, because they've already split, and how do we be fair to the people that still have the 2-acre lots? But now they're not able to split.
Well, that's a question for down the road. We haven't gotten to addressing the minimum.
Well, I
front-
know, and I think we need
front
to
feet.
talk about it so we can kind of get it straight in our head. So, if you, and see, we've run into that. We've had people come in and want to split a lot, but they can't get the 150 feet. So my question is, do we want to, is 150 feet correct? Have we overburdened or just ruled them out from ever being able to split by having 150 feet of frontage? Would it be nicer or whatever if we change that front feet? And to maybe 120. Does that allow them to do what their neighbors have historically been able to do and their deed restrictions allow them to do? So did we create that problem simply because we didn't, in my view is, I don't think it was intentional necessarily, but I think inadvertently what we've done is you can't do anything with your property because you can't meet the front feet. So I think we have to look at this in conjunction to the chart with the front feet. And we got to tweak them both at the same time and look at it that way.
okay, so now what you're talking about is not SF1 houses, you're talking about SF2 houses.
Well, we're generally talking about those, let's call it less than 2-acre properties.
Which would fall under, yeah, I guess like you would say the twos.
Yeah, so if it's
So-
SF2, it's not grandfathered.
It's between the 1 and the 5 acres.
Right.
So are you saying that people that have less than 2 acres, you're still wanting to allow them to split?
To 1 acre, but they can't split. All I'm saying is they have always been able to do that. So that grandfather's been taken away from them, if you will. In other words, if you split before before incorporation or before zoning, you're good. But if you didn't split in time, you can't do anything. Is that where we want to go?
Well, you have to be reasonable about it. So you take this map and you look at the shape of a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, you can decrease the front footage, But there's some lots that depending on the way they're shaped, and you get a pie
Corner
shaped lot,
lots. Corner lots you can split because you can split this way.
split that way. But you take one that's got a narrow front footage, there's not going to be any way to split it unless you start allowing 40 and 50 feet.
Flagpole lots. Exactly. Flagpole lots.
You know,
And then I'm not crazy about flagpole lots. I think you start creating,
it reduces value.
yeah. But we are talking about,
That's not the town's problem, though. That's
no,
the
true.
owner.
But do we want to allow,
Well, I mean, so that's one of the things where it's outside of what our ordinance is, and then you have to apply for a variance.
well, yes, but 280, if you go 286 feet back, you're in the TJ and we can't say anything.
But this is all stuff we went through, I don't know, a couple months ago
Mhm.
when someone wanted to split and ran into all these issues. So this is a real issue.
Yeah,
Is
it
that
is.
the one that they had to
Flagpole.
move they had to replat? Y'all talked about?
Well, no, we turned them down.
Okay.
Well, we had no choice because
But
we had the zoning, which we had to go with, and it wasn't grandfathered.
But last week, now, and then let me just give you the whole scenario. So here's Mr. Hernandez. He comes in with that corner lot, 2 acres.
Mhm.
The same one we turned
We
out.
talked about, yeah. And he went and had it surveyed out, split into 2 1-acre lots.
Okay.
Okay. And he did the plat, didn't file it. He says he came in to get that approved.
That was very nice and
Exactly.
workable, opposed to
He gave us site plans and building plans and
Mhm.
said, what do I got to do to get this approved? Well, one lot was 149 point something feet of frontage. The other lot was about 13 and a half feet short. So what would that be? 138, 39 feet of frontage. Okay. And we turned him down. Nope, 150 feet. 2 weeks ago, Miss White Lady had 5 acres. She sold an acre to some people. Didn't come ask us, didn't file a plat, nothing. And the 1 acre has like 120 feet of frontage.
Which means can't do nothing with that either.
But what did we say? We said, we're not enforcing zoning right now. Go do whatever you want to do.
This is the one on 1565.
Off of 60.
And she got a pass because she didn't come ask.
Isn't this the one where the woman wanted to get the land and close to her mother's house?
No, she's okay. She was okay.
Okay.
Because she had, they still had some, it was quirky, but she had right of way,
Right.
but the road was, where the road kind of turns to the wide, right of way kind of got big,
so-
but her actual road frontage wasn't 150 feet, but technically she had more than 150 feet along the right of way.
Gotcha.
So which was the one you're talking about now?
It's off of, it's, well, the one that, Mike did, the lady, it's one of those, is it Green Meadows or Woodland Estates, one of those roads?
Oh, Woodland Estates.
Is that the one I looked up, Bill?
Yeah, the one you looked up. All right,
Is that Woodland Estates?
It's Green Meadow.
Green Meadows,
So,
okay.
and
Green Meadows.
What happened was the gentleman owned, I believe it was 5 acres,
Mm-hmm.
and he split it. And the way that it was ag, right? And the way he split it and he sold it, this happened last summer.
Yeah.
And what he retained would be an SFE and under our current zoning because of the road frontage.
Mm-hmm.
It met it. But the way it was, if you imagine a square, they didn't split it down the middle, they split it like this.
Kind of an angle.
Yeah.
And so the lady who bought the subdivided
The
piece.
1 acre, yeah,
It
call it.
was 2.
Two,
I think
was
it was 2, but it was not. It didn't have the road frontage to be SFE, so it would have to be SF. But what I don't think the seller realized is that they both changed their zoning designation by splitting this off. But they
Yeah.
didn't come ask about it.
They
just
did come in for
It's not-
rezoning, and then they didn't come in and ask for a variance.
Right.
Well,
It's-
no,
it's
because they
not-
think they're a small town and they're
And
gonna.
our response was, we're not enforcing zoning, do whatever you want. Now, did Mr. Hernandez get the same consideration who did everything right? And he was only 13 feet off.
Well,
Welcome to the world of zoning.
it's meant to provide the least amount of burden upon the
Well,
landowner.
but the
And-
difference
and-
is the Hernandez came in and asked, the other guy just did it.
Did it, and now we have to,
And so then are we gonna enforce it where
so the
So,
next,
so then why
and-
doesn't Mr. Hernandez just go ahead and do it? And
if he would have just done it,
That's the message that's being sent. is
yes,
don't ask.
so and people that watch and listen to this,
and
and if
that's
he is,
lawsuit
then
coming at
it's-
any time.
so why is the town not enforcing it?
because we don't have the ability. We don't have a court, don't
Have an
have
attorney?
justice peace.
They don't have.
Well, no, we,
They don't have a code enforcement officer to write tickets.
Bingo!
To
on
enforce
top,
it.
on top of it.
yeah, we have
Yeah,
no,
that's the whole big
Problem.
key.
But you still have to have a-
no code enforcement officer to enforce.
right.
But you
Bingo.
still have to have a justice
Thank
of the
you.
peace, and we
Well,
don't have that.
technically, so here's the thing. Like, this is how that. So if you had a code enforcement officer, since we technically operate in 3 counties,
Mhm.
then that code enforcement officer, unfortunately, will have to go register at each county, and they will have to have 3 different ticket books, because depending as to what property you're on and to what county you're in, what ticket book you're going to be writing out of, and what day. Like Mesquite's court, we meet on Tuesday and Thursday, which would be Dallas County. Let's say one of them was Dallas County. So I wrote Bob tickets, and so depending on what day his court is, me as the code officer for this town, I'm going to have to be in court on those days. And then I'm going to have to go register at Kaufman.
It is a justice of the peace court, a JP
It should be
court.
the JP court.
City judge, probably.
City
huh?
court?
Yeah, it's city.
Yeah, okay, we have to have a court. So I guess, Scott, that's what it comes down
Well-
to is Mike, he said, well, are we gonna make Mike not only the mayor, but the judge in
and-
court?
And at Poetry has offered to be our judge.
Who?
And
Dr. Haran.
Oh,
Mhm.
Anna Rand?
Well, and to be fair, going back to the deal.
she's
with
an old
Mr.
judge, she's a
Hernandez-
retired judge.
Yeah, she is. So with Mr. Hernandez, something also broke down because he went to Hunt County to show
Yes.
what he wanted to do, and they did not refer him to the town of Poetry.
No, they
just said,
did.
"Go ahead."
No, they did.
After he'd already done some more work, and he went back the second time, and then they went, "Oh, you need to go talk to Poetry." He'd
Yeah.
Oh,
already- they didn't refer to. They did not refer him to the town of Poetry at his first inquiry. So that has nothing to do with the zoning ordinance or the
Yeah.
town or anything
Well,
like that.
well, it's
They have-
enforcement. It
Now, let me
has
ask this:
everything to
when
do
he
with it.
when y'all turned him down, was he asking you to approve this? Did he say, "Can I apply for a variance"?
Right, he
What-
came to the Board of Adjustments.
Okay.
And we had to create ourselves as a board of adjustments to hear his case.
Which
That
is
was the
which
first
board of
one.
the council cannot be the
Yeah,
board of
we
justice.
are.
Yeah, can at first. Now
They can at
we're-
first, but they're not.
Well,
it's
how
not
long is-
supposed
how long
to
is it
stay that
first?
way.
Very
That's
long.
I'm already pointed that
Yeah,
issue out.
You're right. You've got, we should already have a Board of Adjustments.
But because
I've
of the
been preaching
timing,
that for 3 years.
3 years? Is it?
I
yeah,
didn't know.
3 years?
I've been preaching for 3 years that we needed a board of
And
adjustment.
Right,
y'all,
but
y'all need to
But I
understand.
think we've got a limit, a time limit of which the
Well,
council can be the board of adjustments. But then we have to turn it over to,
Board, yeah.
well,
Board of
we're already coming up on a year soon.
Yeah.
no, the board of adjustments just created in January or
No,
February.
but this zoning ordinance
Right.
was passed.
Yeah.
And so technically, so that's
What-
the other thing. When you pass a zoning ordinance, it's then in effect, it's effect and it's going. So like, let's say for example, even a month after the zoning was passed, if he came to apply for a variance, when you pass a zoning ordinance, you should almost at that moment be ready to put in play a board of adjustments, because if
Oh.
he comes right after and says, "Hey, I want to apply for a variance," and you don't have one, Well, there's
Well,
already your first. Whoops.
So it's been 2 years. 2 years ago, we had the
Right.
zoning passed. So it's been 2 years, and we just finally, well, in January, I guess.
I know, but if
Made
you
Yeah, but
ourselves-
we
if
need,
you remember before we even started the zoning first committee, I was like, you may not remember, but I was telling
No, I
her,
wasn't part of that.
I'm like, look, well, that's when I was preaching. We at least needed our own building code so that at least everybody got built to the same standards opposed to Kaufman, Hunt, and Rockwall. And I said, and then you need a board of adjustments for when you do zoning, because as soon as the zoning is stamped and finalized, you need that board of adjustments, because if they apply 2 weeks later for a variance, you have no board.
So we should have done it in March
is
of 24,
Hernandez.
and so we're 2 years late.
So trying to keep our town out of trouble is what I
yes.
was.
Well-
That's what she kind of misunderstood all that time that I was up here trying to preach. Hey, we need to be doing this. We need to do this,
Yeah.
this, and all
No, you
that.
didn't.
And it wasn't that I was.
But
I
you-
was trying to be a know-it-all or anything like that. I was trying to prevent it so that our town doesn't get in trouble, because there's a lot of
Exactly.
things that we could get
Amen.
in a lot in trouble for. And
Well,
I'm just
so-
like, I'm just trying to educate you. I've done many, many years of municipality.
Right.
Yeah, I think we all know we've got to do it. It's just when, because Mike was under the impression it was all legal for us to do it for a time, but I don't know
Well,
how long that is.
Short
Right,
period
but
of time.
we're out of time. I'll tell you that. We are
Yeah.
out of time.
This gentleman could have fixed this.
Oh,
It
my
wouldn't have been
bad.
ideal.
But, all right, so
But
yeah,
he
this
could
is
he
Mr.
could have angled this
Hernandez.
one. He should have changed the address of this one to 2440. This one would have remained
Well, you roughly still have,
2452.
you never could have gotten 300 feet. That,
Well.
even if maybe you could have gotten 300 feet.
But he could have satisfied the
Yeah.
front feet.
But see, this one is only, see,
113.
113. So
Yeah.
oh,
But you can shift that,
37
and
feet short.
it would have changed. I mean, but this one
So-
right here, the front
But
feet would have
that's
been
still
more
the
than enough.
beauty of. That's why when you apply for a variance, that you know you don't meet the requirements.
Yeah.
And as a hardship, do you meet for them to grant you the variance?
Well, the council's definition of hardship is a monetary hardship.
Well, did he need to sell this? Did he need the money? Is it going
Well,
to
no, he
cause a hardship if he didn't
but,
sell it?
wait, but here's the deal: the guy had a 1970s model double wide with a room addition on the lot.
Yeah.
Okay, and I've got pictures. And he tore all that out, cleaned up the lot, had a plat done, proposed a plat, and to build 2 houses, not mobile homes, houses.
Yeah.
And we turned him down.
But
No.
part of it, the economic was, we couldn't, if he was doing it because hardship, it's one thing, but it's economic. He was doing it to make money.
Okay.
And in the law, the state law, which we were reading here in the meeting, Mike saw it clearly, is we couldn't approve that because it was economic, not hardship.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, I didn't hear the
but-
case, so.
but
Well,
Again,
no, that's what's in the minutes of the
No,
meeting.
but this is my point. We are in the first generation zoning.
Don't care,
Well,
baby.
no, well, hold on.
Sure.
We're first generation zoning. The citizens don't know what the hell's going on. And the whole grandfather thing, I think at this stage, and we got a zoning ordinance that, and if you read the stuff I sent you, we got a lot of problems with the existing zone. So the idea should have, in my opinion, should have been, it's not great. We got a bad zoning. We have something trying to make improvements. Let's do the right thing. So the lady that went and sold the lot with the wrong frontage, we say, we're not gonna mess with it. I think we gotta, unfortunately, we're hired to make the tough decisions, but we can't just bounce around, and cause you know what you're gonna get into, and well, you probably know, but the old modern day redlining.
Well,
Because we created, just hear me out, we created a road frontage requirement that the poor people can't meet.
Mhm.
Because that's why I brought all these plats. You go through there. The only way you can split a lot now under zoning in Hidden Oaks, if it's a corner lot, just like what you're saying. You come in, see, you take like this lot right here, easily split, right?
Mhm.
On easily split. You know, if you've got two roads, you could do that, but that's the only lots in there that can do it. So have we inadvertently overburdened the least affluent people in town? So do we change that front feet? That's why I brought the front feet issue into it when we start talking about these small lots. Should we also now, do I say should it be 100 feet? And I start having trouble with 100 feet.
Well, look, I don't know what's magic about 150. It was there.
That's my point. It was never tested. We've now tested it. Said, oh, this isn't going
That's
to
a
work.
problem.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
When it goes along with something that Scott said over and over, and he said it again today, was we don't even know. You've brought out a few examples, and we don't even know how many people
well,
that this will affect and is affecting, and it likely might be 80% of the town.
But that's Scott's next project. Take all of these plats and figure out how many lots have we inadvertently overburdened.
I think we're never going to be a huge town. You know, we're going to be.
Well, at least in our
I
lifetime.
would extend that, I would alter that to say, don't worry about overburden. We still don't know. Ray and I talked about this. We still don't know. Okay, the ag category was made based on the mother tract language, which we are proposing to take out.
Yes.
So how many people actually have 5 acres that are now in the town limits? Because the
Next
ETJ
to
doesn't count.
very few.
Very few.
I
would
definitely
say
don't.
less
Well,
than 10% of the
Right.
greater than 5 acre parcels. Probably less than 10% have 5 acres or more.
In
town.
the town.
how
limits.
many? Because I just can't think of how many acres are in half a mile.
Like a half a mile
Acres. You mean
square?
how many front feet?
An actual half of a mile.
Half a mile is 43,560 divided by 2 would be the length of a mile. Half a mile.
Because my house sits back half a mile from the road.
Okay.
Sits back half a mile, 5,280 feet. Half of that,
I have the longest.
2,600 feet.
I have the longest water line from the
Yeah.
road.
I mean, my house is
2,100 feet.
is nearly 800, and I think that's long. But yes,
I'm 750 and I like 10 acres.
yeah,
off the road.
half mile's 2,600 feet. But
I mean, I don't. That's the thing. If it's from the road back, I mean, like I said, our lot is wide also, but I don't think we're going to have 5.
Right.
I mean,
But
we
you're only
got
286 feet deep.
we got tons in the ETJ.
It's got to be long.
Yeah, ours is
Well,
a
it's
long.
like everybody.
and then
It's going to be a
branches out.
long.
No, it's got to be
Right.
long with our geography
Mhm.
of the town. It's got to be long,
Right.
not narrow and.
And I did that
Yeah,
calculation.
ours is pretty
Wow.
wide in the front too, but it is then
I mean,
long.
well,
and
you
then
know,
it
the
branches
Jacks
out.
that live next to you or near you, you know, theirs
next
is
door.
long.
Yeah, very
So-
long,
So they could probably get 5 acres out of theirs.
easily. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Well,
but not many. But
now
then
we're,
they've got 40 something acres
So
total.
I guess mine would technically be an SF2 because I'm not going to have. Definitely got more than one, but I don't have
in the
greater
town.
than 5
In the
the
town.
town. Yeah.
well, and when
You
the
would
whole
have- as an
ag thing.
example, you would have to have, if we've got 43,560, that's an acre, right?
Yes.
43,560
All right, no, that's a mile.
No, 43,560 is square feet is
Is square foot in an acre.
Yep.
So if we've got
But a mile is
311 feet
5,280.
in the town limit, right? 300,
Linear
so you
feet.
got an acre,
Li-
311 feet in the town limit from the road.
Times 286 feet.
No, it's, well, I did 311.
Well,
I mean,
286, because what they actually own is 286.
Okay, all right, so divided by 286. So then, if you have an acre and you're counting, you're in the town limit. That's 152 feet of road frontage for 1 acre. 152 feet.
Feet, Right.
at 286 feet deep would be 1 acre completely
Right.
contained within the boundaries of the county.
Which makes sense of some of this maybe,
The 150, yeah.
why it was written that way.
Yeah, maybe that's.
So-
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Brady. That's
Okay.
what I was
Yeah,
kinda trying to
so let's back up. Yeah, for the ag, I think, and we're gonna end up talking about ag, cause that's a bigger with 286 feet of depth and the ag, I think we're gonna have to work ag definition over pretty hard.
Well, that's why another reason I brought the part of the ag from Parker,
Yeah.
just in case we
Yeah,
need.
and we probably may not get there tonight, but
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
let's see that. I do wanna see it. And, cause that's gonna be, 2 or 3 meetings, we're gonna be there. All right, so let's back up and look. We have small lots. We have some, let's say, less than an acre. And yes, they need to be, if they were that way at the time of at the time of the zoning ordinance, they should be grandfathered in. Of course, now we haven't surveyed those lots to make sure they didn't do it after the zoning.
Mhm.
They can't see forest for the trees. So we have not ever just established the properties that are that way. So that's that SF1 kind of issue. Now let's deal with these, like with these smaller SF properties. They can't split. And they have deed restrictions that allow them to split. So now we have deed restriction, zoning on top of it. We got a quagmire. Okay? So let's focus on the how, and this is good discussion. And maybe we don't make the decision tonight, but let's give us something to really chew on and think about. How are we going to make it as fair as we possibly can for those property owners?
Well, let's say you start lowering front feet, lower it to 120.
I was gonna say I
But-
think 120 would be good.
Then Mr. Hernandez brings this and it's 113. It's just,
So
at what point do
120,
you stop? At what point
Right.
is reasonable?
how many
Because you look at the
people-
shape of this and
Yeah.
you think that's completely acceptable. It's 2 1-acre lots. He proposes to build homes on it. I
And so
mean,
only one of them has 113, and what is the other
well,
one?
$149.
that's what's crazy about it. So he's got 113 on the front, but 143 on the back. Over here, 149 and 153. Now you could adjust this line a little bit and
Yeah.
and get it to work.
But then both lots would have been off, yeah.
Well,
Well,
depth wise,
not if-
yes,
not
but
if you
then
change
he
it
could
to
change his
120.
address and make that his frontage.
Mm-hmm.
But then we're dealing with the depth wouldn't.
Right.
But we don't have an established depth for
Rear setback, I think we did.
the depth is 200 for a 1 acre for that minimum lot size of 43,000 currently. So his depth would only be 150 feet or so.
So,
But-
and can we fix everybody?
wrong with
No.
that?
Well,
But
no, you're
how
not gonna
many-
be able to fix.
How
Yeah.
many people do we
Well-
fix at 120?
Would you rather have that in the town or somebody that he's saying is allowed by deed restrictions? Well, let me see.
I understand, you're looking at the original plat. When you
Yeah.
go look at all of these lots on the CAD, many of them have already been split.
Some of these that are in corners, or if they're a cul-de-sac type lot,
Mm-hmm.
and then they go and divide them. I mean, they're big enough. This one shows 2.77 acres, but then their front feet may be 80. It's because of the pie shape,
Mm-hmm.
but they're plenty big to divide. So when do you say yes and when do you say no? Because
But I think the approach is, are we gonna make everybody happy? No.
No,
But
I know that.
Well,
I
where they
know
draw the
that.
line.
what we have to test, and that's why I say we take these subdivision plats, and I'll go get them all on, 24 by 32 inch paper. I think we go and we say, okay, we can make 82% of the property owners whole by taking it to 120.
You mean, you're talking about the ones that are grandfathered or the ones that are coming
The
up?
ones that are still 2 acres
That
it
one,
could be divided.
that could be divided.
under their deed restrictions.
If you make it 120.
Now, are we going to get all of them? We're going to help everybody? No.
No.
But do we make it right now it's 100%. No.
How many
Do we
platted?
make it 80%? Yes.
How many platted subdivisions are in the town limits?
They're popping up every day. If I had to, I would be pretty close to say we have 10.
And obviously, we haven't got to
Yeah.
what you wrote, and that would apply or could apply to these situations.
But we could easily be, now we're talking subdivisions that are platted subdivisions. I have not looked at all of the deed restrictions. We're going to find a subdivision, especially along these private roads.
But deed restrictions, whether it's a platted subdivision or not, we all have deed restrictions that run with the property that somebody has put in there at one time.
Not all of them.
Not all of them,
Yeah,
but most.
a lot.
Most. So that deed restriction could be in 2 lone acres well outside of
No,
a.
and I agree, and that's what I'm saying. If since I haven't looked at all of the deed restrictions, if you're in a platted subdivision and you have no deed restrictions, then zoning. That's all you've got to deal with.
Right.
But if you have deed restrictions that conflict with zoning ordinance, that's where the rub is at. So we need to, create that. And if you look at my paper that I wrote it on PD. But let's not blow this mushroom out of the water right now. Let's focus on these smaller rural lots that we have basically keep them from ever splitting their property simply because of the front feet.
Now you're talking about SF2 now.
SF2 and maybe an maybe it's SF1, 2, and then 3, but I don't know. We'll let's get them all figured out, and then we'll attach classification.
He's speaking of let's say the 2 acres that just like this that people want to divide.
Yeah.
And even though the lot shape is
Good.
almost ideal, that it just still doesn't meet the requirements of what the document puts forth. So if it were lowered, and even in his case, if it were lowered to 120, it's still his second lot.
Yeah.
23B wouldn't
But
apply.
now let me understand. He came back, and I approved it last week. He came back with one house on that 2 acres. So he's kind of,
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
we
that makes
dodged
it-
the bullet on him. So that's all I'm saying is it's not so much the zoning. It's not, what we kind of, I think all agree is kind of our bare bone minimum if you're going to subdivide is 1 acre in these smaller lots. We're not talking about 1 acre in SF2 or 3 or whatever we call it.
Allowable division, 1 acre,
Yeah,
smallest
but
lot.
let's just deal with these smaller property owners and figure out what's the best way. Now, again, maybe we go from 120, we save 80% of them. We go to 115 and we save 93% of them. Then maybe 5 feet. Where are we willing to maybe draw the line? I think you get close to 100, I start having a little trouble with 100.
It's tricky. What's the depth of a 1 acre lot with 100 front
Well,
feet?
a square lot is what, 213 by 213, something like that? If it's square. You get that 43, 560.
So if you have 100 front feet, it would have to be 435 feet deep, 4 times the depth.
Right, and so that's a runway.
Then that puts it into the ETJ.
Yeah,
Well, most of them are in ETJ
Yeah.
anyway.
yeah, half the lot's still in the
a lot of.
And that's our problem.
And that's another issue, and that's another thing I was talking to Scott about. Is what control the town has, and this goes along with everything we're doing. So, and I want to put this out there, and we need to know the legal answer. I need to know
Right.
if the house is built. Say the ETJ is right here. If the house is built and part of it falls in the town and part of it falls out, does the town have a ruling over setbacks on all sides?
Mhm.
Even
You mean-
though a
Well,
portion
but
of the
look-
house
look-
is
look
outside.
If it's built in
Look at lot
ETJ,
22.
Partially.
You want to see another scenario? This lot is right here.
Hmm.
Lot 22 son wants to put a mobile home on his parents' property. We said, well, you need to subdivide it. You can't get 2 acres. You know why? On this one, he put his house right in the middle of the lot.
Right.
Sorry, you can't do anything.
Well, yeah.
You can't even get to that 1 acre.
Right.
So you are going to have situations like that too,
That-
but that's not our fault.
No,
That's why we're never going to get to 100%.
that's absolutely unfixable.
Right, but his I get what you're saying. You know, if you have the lot and you decide to build your house basically on the line
Mhm.
where half of your house literally is in the town and the
Yeah.
other half of your house is in the ETJ, his question is, at that point, does the town's setbacks take
And lot coverage.
and lot coverage, does it all take effect, or is it like, hey, the front and
All
this half of the
When we blow that up,
Does it?
the taxing authorities is any part of your house is in the town, or it's all taxed.
right,
Oh,
right,
yeah.
but he's talking about the setbacks.
Okay.
From
I'm
the
talking about
sides and the rear.
ordinances, and yes,
He's talking about like, okay, if the front of your house is in there of the town and you're meeting the front and
Side.
side, well, part
Make
of the side setbacks, then the other part of the setbacks and the back of the house is in the ETJ. There's no, how does those setbacks work? Because they're not going to be
I agree.
restricted.
I agree. That's part of that whole argument of mother track. Well, wait a minute. Then are we not zoning ETJ land if we're gonna do that?
we're kind of
If
still
half the house
zoning.
is in
Even,
ETJ?
even though we've gotten rid of the mother track language, we're still stuck with that, trying to zone an entire property that is going to be split.
Right. I mean, this is the whole reason why this spaghetti town. This is the number one problem that will triple all of our costs, triple all of our headaches.
It's
But-
made my head hurt all month.
Huh?
It's made my head hurt since the last meeting.
I mean, but it is what it is.
It is, and,
It is.
but I want, and that's trying to figure out how to be fair to
How to
everyone.
be
Well,
fair.
and you know, and Mike, sitting in that chair, he goes by the rules.
Right. And that's what I want. What are the rules?
And
What-
that's what he
Unless
reads
you're a
the
white
rules.
lady, and then we're not going to enforce the rules.
Well, for something that we did for these that wanted economic advantage, you know, the other one on, I don't remember all the issues on the other one, but it clearly on the one, it did say, Mike read the rules. And
Mhm.
he said, we've got, as our Board of Adjustment, we've got to go by the rules. And by the rules, they could not subdivide. So
Right.
what we've got, whatever we write down, at least Mike's going to go by the rules.
Right.
You know, I can't speak for anybody else.
Well, I agree, but what the courts, we will have a lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee it.
Well,
Robin?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's our problem, and yes, we have to deal with what we're doing, and that's exactly what we're doing right here. We're trying to take this mess that we created.
And like
And
you
how
said,
to be
make
fair.
make it as fair as we can with, for one, the way the town is shaped and what we got wrote, and now trying to
and,
make
and
it
the
fair.
grandfathered and the
Yeah.
non-grandfathered.
Yeah.
We can grandfather all day long, but
You still,
what
it's-
does the town control
yeah,
when properties
town.
are divided?
It's just a portion in the town.
Okay, but then we get to the residences and all that stuff. So
Well, and
Yeah,
let me throw another wrinkle out here too, just to throw it out there. I know you guys know this, but y'all might not. You pay the sales tax based on where you get on your front door, right? You pay the trash
Garbage.
fee
where it's picked up.
where
And-
it's picked up.
And that's about to get challenged, but go ahead.
Yeah, so you get to vote if any part of your land at all, regardless of
Right.
your house, is in the town limit.
I don't live in town,
There's all three, but
I
your
don't either.
property does.
and I'm on the council.
But your property is. The front of your property is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I'm saying that as a point of research, there are different rules depending on what you're doing. And so
Absolutely.
zoning could follow any of those, or it also could have zoning. So I'm saying that to say I don't have an answer, but just be.
Yeah, no, we know that's the
Why.
big,
Yeah.
that is our number one biggest problem. I dare say this lot, or this one, is the closest thing that I've seen where the entire property is in the town. The ETJ starts right here.
Oh, wow.
10 feet off the back of his property is in the
That's
ETJ.
crazy to
That's the
have.
Hidden Oaks.
Huh?
That's one of the Hidden Oaks.
That's, yeah, the Hernandez.
Oh,
His entire lot, except for about 10 feet on the back side, is in the ETJ.
yeah.
But I have yet. All right, let's look at the Aiken. Aiken down the road from you, Aiken Farms.
Okay.
His driveway is part of the town. His lot is 20 feet wide by 286 deep. Is in the town. That one little strip. We have a zoning map. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, well, here it is. Aiken's driveway is in town. Okay? Part of the problem of our other was Simeon's driveway is in the town. 20 feet wide. So you see, see, that's in town. And you got some other little roads like that, driveways that are in town.
Why would the driveway be?
Because the house is he has access through an access easement that he went and bought, the access easement. So he would be in town, but he's only in town 20 feet wide by 286 feet deep.
It was
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the kind of stuff that we're going to have to be dealing with. So, I think at this point, let's all chew on this, let's call it less than 2 acre scenario, or 2 acres and less. Let's chew on this till next month. Do some research, figure out what you can come up with. But I do think, Scott, I'll pull all these plats and we'll do this study and figure out how many of these lots
Okay, but
we can
Dale,
fix.
okay, first, this what we're calling SF2, that's clearly 1 to 1.1 to 5.0. SF1, which is the grandfathered, for lack of a better word,
Uh,
is that
less
less
than an
than
acre.
1?
Yep,
That's
less than 1 acre.
acre.
Mhm.
1 acre.
So,
Everything less
so
than
we're
one.
all in agreement.
Yeah, with the SF1.
That's-
Well,
That's a-
I don't agree that there should be a classification for it. That's just my standing. Just because it's not allowable in the city. It just exists and it's grandfathered. But that's why I was.
but here's Brady. Here's the thing. What if they want to come in and add on to it, make it bigger, nicer, whatever?
They can under the grandfather clause. Like if
Are
you
you
read
sure?
through there,
I thought you couldn't.
if you grandfather them and allow them the same rights as a 1 acre lot, then the town
Yeah, they
can
can.
allow them.
They're good forever.
And
what
so
about what? Not just adding a separate house, but adding on to the house.
yes, adding onto their house.
So instead of having 2,000 feet, they have 6,000.
That's what the grandfather allowed.
The
you to
town
do.
cannot limit them.
6,000 would
Because
still
you
be.
didn't, because you didn't tear down what you had and rebuild
That's-
bigger. You're adding onto it. Because let me tell
okay.
you something.
Yeah.
On 23, 26, if you go down to the cemetery and turn a left on that way and
Uh-huh.
go down to the first corner where the big red barn is, and you get down to that next corner, and you can either go straight or but where that house is on that corner. They are adding on to that thing on both sides in the back. And I'm having a stroking cow because I'm like, I know this is not to code.
Yep.
And God, I hope he's got a good electrician so we don't have a fire.
But
But
now-
I can see where they've just added stuff on, but that's his lot.
But
and
you
he
can do
didn't
that.
move.
But what about if you tear it down and
Then you're
rebuild?
not
Then you're not
grandfathered because
grandfathered.
Then you're not-
you took down the original structure.
Once
that
you
Then
you
you're not
had.
grandfathered.
That was grandfathered.
Yeah,
But
you
in
lose
your case that you're
grandfather.
just describing
You're-
is still
Because
grandfathered.
he
Yeah.
kept the main structure and he added onto it. The main structure didn't move. It's in the exact same spot it's always been. He added. He can do that as long as he adds to it. But if they're now, if
Yeah.
he'd have tore it down and says, "Hey, I'm going to start from scratch," you just broke your grandfather because you took down the original structure.
Now,
no,
see, I
I don't
disagree with
To
that.
Brady's point, which, go ahead, Brad, I think you were about to say what I was about to
Well, maybe that's how ours is wrote.
Yeah,
Ours
and that's what I
must
wanted
be
to do
opposed.
differently is these lots, it's not the owner's fault that they're in the position they're in. That if something was torn down, it should be able to be rebuilt. But they need to adhere to the SF code. They need to follow the setback. They need to
Yes.
follow
Yes.
the side, all the basic things.
But if they're less than 1 acre, you can't do it.
No,
The setbacks they can.
no, because what most towns do, hear me out, they issue COs.
A certificate of occupancy.
And if you have a CO and the house burns down,
Okay.
you have the right to rebuild that same house or anything else.
But
Let-
wait a minute, who
let's-
issues
Let's
this?
take a realistic scenario. here.
That's realistic.
Somebody owns 3/4 of an acre where, and this is pretty close to a situation that's really me, where their grandfather lived, and it's 3/4 of an acre, and he had a trailer on there.
Okay.
All right, and that was what was in the town when the zoning was passed.
Grandfather.
Well, you can build a fairly good sized house on 3/4 of an acre.
Mhm.
You can follow all the setbacks, but the way it's written right now, if they go in there and they demolish that trailer or haul it off and get rid of it,
All bets are off.
they can't do that according to the way it is now, and that's not right. You're limiting the future owners.
That's in our current zoning?
Yes.
You can't do that.
Really?
You can't,
Where-
Yes.
yeah, you
By
It's
can't.
described
by
like that?
strictest interpretation, you can't do that.
That's it.
That's more of the non-conforming status. The
Right.
non-conforming
Correct.
takes all your rights
Oh,
away.
and the non-conforming.
I want to do away, and that's what this thing, it says non-conforming status. We're not considering non-conforming solely due to lot size and shall not be treated lawful is, it's,
Yeah. And a lot of those, you understand, we're talking about the basics part of this issue. Once we kind of agree on this part, then we're going to have to add all that kind of change that other language.
and it's,
But when you talk to the council and Robin knows, you bring up COs and their eyes glaze over.
Oh,
But
Lord.
we don't have certificates of
We
occupancy.
don't,
We
but
don't.
that's what we're going to have because of the mess we have.
So then who issues?
Oh yeah, there it is. It will be an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we fix it or do we pawn it to the next council?
Okay, well, but I guess getting back to this point, say it's burnt down, how is it that they still are grandfathered in? Because you said it's in the non-conforming.
The lot is grandfathered in then,
Mhm.
just the lot. And if you have COs, then they could, in theory, rebuild.
And that's in the non-conforming lot. A parcel of land, this is non-conforming lot, parcel of land having less acreage, frontage, or dimensions than required in the district in which it is located, but which existed prior to the adoption of the district regulations. Okay, so that's grandfather. But where does it say that if you
There's a-
rebuild, that it would now still be grandfathered? I don't see that.
It's in there. It's a what, 50% if over.
well, it's 150% of that, which is of the value of the structure, which is weird. We look at, well,
Where is this?
the way I usually look at it, if it's damaged over 60% of the values, I guess the way I always
But
look
where
at
is
it.
it in our zoning? I didn't.
Well, that is 13.5 is the 150% we're talking about.
Which one?
13.5.
13.5.
Yes. And 13.2 talks about expansion of nonconformity. So
Expansion of nonconformity prohibited. No nonconforming use, structure, or lot may be expanded or increased on or beyond the lot or tract upon which such nonconforming use or structure is located as of the effective date of this ordinance. Which that says you can't.
Right.
Last sentence.
and then 13.5 is about the rebuilding.
13.5. The last
13.5
sentence-
is about abandonment discontinuous.
The last sentence of 13.5.
Is any nonconforming structure that is damaged and destroyed by fire, flood, or other natural causes shall terminate all non-conforming rights in and to the structure if the cost to repair the damage is at least 150% of the value of the structure.
So then it has to be cleared off and it's vacant
it's more
land
than
or
150
combined with another
But if
property.
it's more than 150% in the cost, it's not grandfathered.
Not anymore.
So did
So-
we inadvertently?
So if you had a half acre, just for example, and you had one of these and had a fire and burnt down, well, it's grandfathered in. So as long as it stays the way it is, or even if you add on some on the sides, it's non-conforming, but it's still grandfathered in. But if it burns down or falls down and you rebuild it, and the cost of rebuilding is greater than 150%, then it's not grandfathered in.
So you're
gonna
end
can't
up-
do it.
Some
Right.
poor family, their house burns down, and all they can do is sit out there and look at it.
Scott's situation, if
Right.
that building he's talking about
So-
burns down, it cannot be replaced.
That's
Right.
why you go to the CO. If we gave them a CO for that non-conforming use,
And
okay,
it burns down.
and it burns down, they can
Your
rebuild.
CO
The
saves you.
CO makes them whole.
So does the town have the right to do that? I mean, we'd have to have an ordinance and,
And
So
someone
it's
that
pretty common.
it's very common.
A lot of times it reads.
But you still
I
have to
a
have an
copy of
ordinance
it
to do it,
somewhere.
wouldn't
Well,
you?
yeah, but it's still
And you still
Well,
have
we-
someone that goes and does the inspection for the CO.
right. But you'd have to, yeah, the seal. And I
Okay.
brought that in, and I can tell you, if you want to realize, one of the most unique, non-conforming CO issues I've ever dealt with, and I dealt with one. Good friends of ours, the family business, and I don't know what I'm wasting time, but just to give you the idea, a family business on South Lamar in Dallas. Okay, you go to South Lamar in Dallas below I-30, you better bring a gun.
Yeah.
Okay. And this business was started back well, they bought the business, already existed. It was an auto salvage yard. This guy's parents bought it from the original owners as a salvage yard. Okay. He couldn't find any COs or nothing like that. And his problem was the homeless people were coming in his barns and places where he had motors and parts and build a fire and stay warm and burning stuff down. And his big fear was, because he couldn't find his COs, was they're going to burn this place down. Then I'm screwed.
Mhm.
Okay. So he paid an attorney, he paid the attorney $10,000 to do all this work on it, didn't come up with anything. And I told his wife, I said, look, I can fix this for you. I'll do the research for you. I can't fix it, but let me go do the research for you. And no, we got an attorney, $10,000. Well, I went and did the research anyway.
Mhm.
And this, if you believe in miracles, here's the miracle. So I go down to the basement of Town Hall in Dallas, records down there.
Open records.
Not a window. And I went down there, they said, well, we'll pull up. Everything had been microfilmed. And having been in real estate and title search, I knew all about microfilm.
Mm-hmm.
And what did they do with microfilm? When they came through and made copies, put it on microfilm, all the pages. There was always this oddball number of pages because they get paid by the page they microfilm. So they had all these loose pages all the time. This is what happened. Well, they want to get paid, so they microfilm them and put them at the end of the tape. So we're down there and she's looking and all this stuff, and she got a phone call. She was down there by herself. Look, she got a phone call. We had gone through all the address, couldn't find it. And she said, I said, go take the phone call. If you don't mind, I'll look.
Mm-hmm.
I looked, I swear to God, the CO was in that bundle of oddball crap at the end of the tape.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's the
now
miscellaneous
get this,
bun.
this is a weird miracle. So I take that and pull out what I had. I said, okay. And I knew his mother was still alive that bought the second owner of the salvage yard. She was still alive. I said, well, do you know anything about these people that owned it before? Yeah, that old lady, she's 90-something years old. She's still alive. What? I take an affidavit to her and said, you affidavit that you had a continuing use of that building the whole time you owned the business. And she signed it, got it notarized. Then I go to his mother. You certify that you had been in continuous use of this business since the day you bought it in 1946. She signs it. I take all that, then I put together a legal description, take it down to the city. They issued me a CO.
Mm-hmm.
Saved his butt. I called him up one day. I said, John, take me to lunch. I'll come down there. Well, you want to go to lunch down here? I said, yeah, I want to go to lunch with him. And I sit there through that CO and he started crying.
Yeah, because it
Now-
just saved everything.
That's not the worst of it. Now, 6 months later, and I know it's a long story, 6 months later, the husband, dies. The guy had fixed it for him. He leaves a wife and 4 daughters that own and operate a salvage yard on South Lamar. I mean, you bury your husband and you go to work at the salvage yard the next day. And so she wanted to sell it. I said, I'll help you. And so I found a guy, Hispanic guy, he wanted to buy it. We walked around through all this. You know, the first question he asked me,
You got a CO on this?
I said, yes, sir, I do. He says, I'll buy it.
Because without a CO, he knew he didn't have
He
like,
knew.
it was going to be a problem.
And then,
But they do the COs also for the homes, and it protects your residential people in
Right.
any situation like that, just like it does a business. That's why in our town, like, it's not so much done in our office so much, but like if you build a home, they issue the builder, not, it's done like a CO for that. But now as renters, so that there's issues, and it, I guess, really protects the homeowner more than it does the renters, but you have to have a rental certificate of occupancy that justifies that. But yeah, there are home rentals, there are home certificate of occupancies, so it does protect people
Well,
in those situations. But
may I make that? That's a
Yeah,
question. I just have
sure.
a question. I mean, I appreciate what y'all are saying about the CO, but the town of Poetry does not have a mechanism.
I got,
to do
and I
that.
get, I understand that.
Yeah, and so
I got you.
Got
I'm
it.
coming back to Brady's
that's
point
not
of
our
let's put it-
fault.
It's not the town's fault, but if it is in the ordinance, if it is baked into the ordinance, then it's something that council can sit down and interpret at a meeting, or a review board to be determined can sit down and interpret, instead of having to, because I mean,
I know.
So Scott, you're saying we ought to put it in the zoning?
I feel that is my opinion. I'm
So
not
if it's in
gonna-
the
zoning-
that is my opinion, because that way that sticks, and then we don't have to
It's-
find a way to issue COs, have an inspector, charge a fee, collect a fee, post a fee.
So you're talking about this SF1? I mean, that's primarily the one that we're talking
but
about.
we hire a code enforcement person, and
Right.
it's not a full-time job right now, but you could go through and clean this mess up. Well, we're stuck with it. And so,
Well,
is it the people's fault? Is it our fault? No, but we gotta fix it. Tell me how to fix it.
Right. Well, I feel like what you were asking, I feel like it ought to be fixed in the ordinance. Whatever the fix is ought to be in the ordinance versus trying to add something that the town doesn't have the means to add right now, which would be
Yeah.
issuing the COs and doing all
And
that.
what we would do, our guidelines for a CO would be very lenient. We're not gonna go in and make sure your bathroom works,
I'll be like, oh, hey, you're
Yeah.
not getting a CO because,
your toilet doesn't flush.
Right, okay.
We're
or
not
your
gonna go that
toilet has
deep.
a flushing issue.
If they're
So-
living in it, they get a CO.
And somebody could
Yeah.
misinterpret a CO for building inspection too, and they might think that they.
When I hear CO, I'm thinking bureaucracy, and your toilet doesn't flush, and one of the burners on your stovetop doesn't work, so we're not gonna issue you that. But
Right.
if it's something that could be done,
In a
You know,
grandfather
lenient way.
environment.
Yes, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So use a CO to ensure zoning compliance. Is that
Uh,
the
well, it just-
the most basic thing that it would serve?
I'm sorry, say it, your question again?
The CO would serve as an opportunity to ensure zoning compliance.
Yeah.
Is
'Cause you're
not
under
building
the
code compliance.
grandfather-
I mean, that's
under
all
the
out the window because
grandfather
the
clause.
town cannot do any of that.
Yeah, under the grandfather clause, that's probably the only big vehicle that I know of that we can be as fair as we possibly can to the most number of people that are in that situation.
It's, I mean,
I know. We better buy some more filing cabinets. But what are we gonna do?
it's that and it's staff, you know,
Yeah, what are we gonna do?
even if it's in the
W-
simplest
We've been
form.
handed this spaghetti, and we gotta straighten it out. All right, so, because we're got about 25 minutes left. All right, so guys, let's do this. Let's take this and the single family, and let's study it, and come back next week with a
Wait a minute,
a game plan. In other words,
Next
a
month?
solution.
You mean next month?
Next week.
Unless you want to come
month.
back next week.
I'm sorry.
Well, I won't
Ne-
be back next week. I'll be in
next
Florida.
month with some kind of a strat. Come up with your strategy of how we protect the most number of people that we can. Now, one more that you got, I wrote the PD, which we talked about for the subdivision over the zone. Take a look at this, and then in the back, do y'all use AI?
I'm
Occasionally.
starting to because of
All right, I
our
wrote
stuff.
what you wrote, and it's just a paragraph or two about PD. Ran it through AI, and they rewrote it for me. Then I took what they rewrote and enhanced it. And this page 2, these other pages, this point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, they then wrote the verbiage to how to explain PD zoning. It's crazy. And then what they said, you want us to put it in format where you can incorporate it into your zoning ordinance? They did.
But now, I
Crazy.
guess, I don't understand how planned development works in our geographic type of town.
We're
It's-
borrowing that terminology to
you-
fit our town.
No, how does it work? Because we've all agreed, it's just all these strips, which you can't even get ag 5 acres in. So
What,
any PD would be out in the ETJ, not in the town. And if it's in ETJ, then it isn't in our zoning.
but our zoning is on that part of the land that is under deed restrictions. Part of the lot is in the deed restriction, or part of the lot is in the town and in the ETJ from a town standpoint. But the whole lot is encumbered by the deed restriction. How do we marry? And we're not going to change anything. All we're going to, if you read this, all we're going to do is the whole purpose for poetry. The whole idea behind the PD is when we have staff 5 years from now, or council, or anyone else, somebody says, man, I'm zone PD. What is that? Well, let me look at the map. Oh, you're PD 101. What it immediately tells staff
This
is
is a deed
you've
restriction
got
on
you've
top
got an
of
odd
the zoning.
situation, and then you deal. Now, it's a compromise in order to what everybody else on the council thinks, because we can't regulate deed restriction. No, you can't. But what this tells us is that this is going to save us from so many lawsuits. You can't imagine. But then we know, the staff knows, oh, you're PD. The light comes on. We got more than zoning here. And
We
that's
have it.
all it's going to say. What we tell the people, and we'll have to clean, this is not perfect. Well, we'll have to tell the people, so we're going to deal with zoning, but you also have a deed
Deed
restriction.
restrictions. We have to
You
make
better
sure
look at both
before.
and take the most restricted one. Now, in other words, the house right down the road from you that's for sale. They came in, they split the lot, okay, in the state. So one kid got the house and some land, they split the lot, and the other kid got the other land. And what it was is, in the town of Poetry, we have a 5-foot setback requirement. So they wanted to draw that line 5 feet from the house. the dividing line, resurvey. I said, wait a minute, you better go look at your deed restrictions. Pulled up the deed restrictions. It was a 20-foot rear side
Uh-huh.
setback.
Yeah.
So, oh, okay. So they
Having
had,
the PD makes everybody think, oh, wait a minute,
Everybody
we don't
look
have
at
just
it.
zoning.
Where he's talking about that's not a platted development. That those are buried restrictions that aren't even found until somebody digs through title.
well, these were found.
They were found, but that area, that corner would not be zoned PD. That's going to fall under SF. SF.
If there's no deed,
it's not a platted development.
If you
Right.
have if it's platted development, but with no restrictions, I agree with you. But if it's a platted development with restrictions that conflict with zoning, then it becomes a PD.
Well, I'm totally against extending this zoning into PD now.
That's fine.
You know, at some point, maybe we've got enough problems to take care of with what we
But we
got.
got to keep that staff out of trouble.
Well, no, what we're just charged with coming up with a set of rules so that when Mike or
Well-
anybody else knows the rules and to get into PD is getting beyond. So
Okay.
I think just stick with what
Well,
we're
then
dealing
I
with.
think if anything, if we're not gonna consider the PD, it needs to be drilled,
Drilled.
and
Yeah,
I mean drilled into the staff's head to ask the first thing when they come in, do you have a deed restriction? If we're not going to have something that labels to help the flag or the light go off, they need to make sure they are asking every person.
Well, honestly, yes.
Do you have a deed
Right, but
restriction?
that's-
Because if not, you're going to get yourself, we're going to have another lawsuit.
Right,
Yeah.
but the deed restriction is their business, not our business.
Oh, but it can become our.
It is if we allow
You alter
zoning.
that deed restriction, it's a restriction that runs with the deed.
If
a
we're not
lender,
aware of it,
They
and
won't
we-
be able to get
Right.
a loan for it.
But we're not responsible for them checking their
We're
deed
not saying we
restrictions.
are. We're saying as you have it,
No.
you need to make sure you
We
comply.
went through this and we've got it in writing from David Berman. We are not responsible
We're not
for
doing that.
Wait, let me finish what I'm saying. We're not responsible for telling people how to interpret their deed restrictions.
Right. I
You
agree.
can't do that.
I
We're
agree.
only responsible for the zoning restrictions.
All we're doing is saying, if you have a PD zoning, you've got a strange situation, you go figure out your deed restriction,
No.
and we'll look at the zoning.
Absolutely against that.
Okay,
We've got
fine.
enough to deal with right here.
Well, I'm not saying we have to have it. I'm just saying the staff, to protect everybody, they need to make sure they're at least asking them, do you have a deed restriction?
Mhm.
Because if you
Well-
do know you have that, you need to look
Well,
at yourself and then the zoning.
But Robin,
I'm trying to save us from a lawsuit.
is Mike, Dale, and me.
It's a simple question, though. You remember, you just need to remember, if someone's coming
Right.
to ask to make modifications, do you have a deed restriction? Y'all all just need to remember, do you have one? So they can look at that and then we can enforce the zoning.
Right.
I'm just trying to keep
That's-
staff out of trouble.
And that's perfectly fine. But we can't go in and interpret their deed
No,
restrictions.
no, no.
We're
And
not.
I'm not saying
not.
Yeah, you were. You were
No, we're
trying
not.
to do
I
that.
did
I'm not
before,
s-
but this is the compromise. Go talk to Mike. He compromised to this scenario. Just to let you know.
my thing is, I'm just telling all y'all, when they come in and say, hey, this is my land, this is what I'm going to do you have a deed restriction?
Right. And that's fair. That's as
Just
far as we
put
can
it out
go.
there. And that's what I'm saying. Just make sure
Right.
everyone knows
I
to
don't
put
have any
it
problem
out
with
there.
And
that.
Tom, this is the compromise.
But I'm saying
this is not what I
that's-
said before. This
we're,
is compromise.
we need to stick with what we're charged with.
That's what we're
The
doing.
zoning, no, you're trying to extend it out into something.
No,
We need
it's
to see
zoning.
what do we need to
Well-
revise here in the zoning.
All right.
That's all.
All right, let's go through, again, this is one of those meetings, we did a lot of talking, didn't accomplish a whole lot, but we created a lot of stuff.
Well,
to
it
think
opened up a
about
can of
that-
worms.
The honeymoon's over. All right, this packet that you got, I know you haven't read it, so we're not going, this is a lot of comments
On the
from council on the zoning. Okay, I'm not gonna, they're in there, you can't tell who wrote it, and that's not important. Then, the zoning ordinance has been ran through, I don't know if it was AI or whatever, and it goes through, okay,
This was
the
the big
problem.
packet you gave us?
Yeah, the
Okay.
problem that you have. This is what's the risk factor because
Okay.
of the way it reads.
I'd read through it.
This is just information so that you can start getting your head around everything. This is just stuff, stick it in your file, don't throw it away because it's all going to bubble up over time. The other thing that you have in there, and so we don't, and if you have a question, you can bring it up, but we don't need, you'll have this. This
Mhm.
is all of those point of beginnings, point of ends. This
Yeah.
is all of that data and the lengths and things like that. Over time, when you get into that map, you'll have to refer to this.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what that's for. There's one act in there that you read it, it's just, there's like 2 or 3 lines, or code, what we call local government code. There's a couple lines in there that affect zoning. So that code, that act that they pass is in there. One of the things that we have to do over time, once you get this thing whittled down, we've got to go throw it out there for legal review and government code review to make sure we didn't do something that the state says we can't do or can do
Or we should be doing and we're not
should
doing.
be doing and not doing. Exactly. I mean, guys, this is a, if you can't already tell by now, this thing's going to mushroom, and we just got to deal with it. But so that's what a lot of this stuff is all about. Just lead it, see legal implications of town planning zoning ordinance under House bill. Then we got to do the ETJ. I'll get that for you. You're gonna have to read that, and that's a whole nother quack. The ETJ release bill, Senate Bill 2383, whatever it was. If there was anything that put a coffin or nails in the coffin, it was that bill. Being able to remove your property from the ETJ, and it's probably the town that got hit the worst is Poetry, Texas, with that, because we're gonna get the ETJ. We have to provide an ETJ map. It has to be current. We haven't had current in 2 years, so we're spending $35,000 to get that done. That map is going to become a map with a bunch of donut holes in it.
Yep.
Over time. So. But I'm just letting you know that we're going to have to start looking at some of these government codes over time, and it just gets. You think today was bad? Wait till you start complying with local government codes. But we got to, because if you look at these studies that tested our zoning code, we got some major serious problems. So sorry to have to tell you that, but.
So just to be clear, so our next meeting is going to be on May the 7th,
May 7th, the first
Thursday.
All right.
Okay.
May 7th.
May 7th at 6.
You're gonna. I better put that.
Yeah,
mark.
I'll take care of that before
Thank
That's a Thursday.
Yes.
6 to 8 p.m.
Okay, I already have it on my calendar, but I
Okay.
was just verifying on that.
And anything else y'all come up with, and what think we need to look at it, because this is going to require a lot of studying.
I
Reading.
know I didn't walk away from tonight's meeting with anything to redline, did I?
I think the only thing was on the chart, on the little chart, you
Yeah.
changed ag on this side, but I think on this side it still
Okay.
says AR. I
Okay.
think that was the only thing that I saw.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll review that.
Let me just ask you this. I mean, I don't, on this version, you took Mother Track out. I think we need to put it back in redlined with a
No,
strike through.
I did.
It's strike through.
I didn't delete it. I just struck
Strike it.
through.
Okay, I did look.
Well, and I do have a question. There were a couple of places, and I guess this is for y'all to decide.
Yeah.
There's a couple of places where it says da 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 in the mother tract. Well, if we're taking mother tract out, okay, that goes away. But it has to say something. It can't just the sentence
Right.
can't just end in the.
We haven't
We
gotten that
drilled
far in the
down through
document.
the
Is it lot? Is it parcel? Is it?
Mhm.
Well, we have
Well,
it.
We don't. Do we not know yet? We just leave it hanging. I put in comments where it would be. Where we need to do, y'all need to decide on what it ought to be.
Well,
And
here's.
they can stay in there. We don't have to decide.
Yeah, let's just leave it. That's why I say leave it in there,
Okay.
because I think
It would be tractor lot.
I think for
one or
our
the other.
discussion purposes, sometimes the mother track terminology is going to help us figure it out.
Yeah.
So I'm not totally 100% sold on taking it out.
Well,
I just think we need to strike it for now and see if we can work around that.
Well, it's still in there,
Yep.
but it is struck through and.
Good. That's how we need to
Okay.
keep it.
Yeah, but I think that's the only thing the AG on that's
take
on
it
the
out.
left. I know you changed it on the right, but I think it on the one that you gave us. I think it still says AR, just on the side.
I will,
that one.
I'll double check
But
that.
other than that,
And
it
the
was,
other thing he did was I had him highlight everywhere it said ETJ.
And there were only like 4 or 5 occurrences.
But they're big.
It's
they're big.
significant, but it wasn't. I was expecting it to say it came up 35 times. And
So
I certainly-
read that, pay attention to it, because we can't, that's our part of our problem, especially when we get into the ag classification. Are we really crossing some lines between the ETJ and zoning, especially in ag? And think about this. Most towns, and we know most towns, an ag property it was a farm when it came into the town. It's a farm until you change the use and ask for rezoning. Maybe, I'm not saying so, but be thinking in terms of maybe that might be the down and dirty way to deal with the ag zoning. Just, it's ag, and until you do something with it, then you have to come into rezoning. And a board of adjustments.
Isn't that the way it is now?
Well, well, we have ag, but the only thing that's ag is the 286 feet. As opposed to, do we classify properties like most towns do? They said you're a farm, you're ag, and that's as far as it goes, and you just live your life until you start selling something off. That might be, and I'm not saying it is, but just think about it. Maybe that's the down and dirty quick fix for ag.
well,
What are
I'm
you,
gonna
are you
tell
talking about taking out the restrictions that are in there, that are written, the
In
requirements
other
of
words,
one house
they're-
per 2.5
they're ag,
acres?
There's no restrictions, but if you subdivide, then you come in, and then if it's 5 years from now, 20 years from now, the council or the board of adjustments takes a look at the situation at that time. Maybe an office building got built next door. Well, no, you're not going to be. Can't put single family next to an office building. You got to be office. I mean, those are the kind of things. But if you just leave ag as ag, and quite honestly, anybody that's got, and maybe what it is, and maybe we draw a line, maybe anything over 50 acres or 25 acres, maybe. Just think.
well, I'm a,
Does that even exist?
how,
And it may
how-
not even exist. So why? And that's with the map that we have. We're concentrating too hard on that ag zoning.
Yeah.
That why should it even exist?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, and this is how I've always looked at it, and I guess it's just me, and this doesn't have anything to do with me working at the city. So, because I grew up on 20 acres, and my grandpa had the next 20 acres. To me, if you're classified by the
Whatever.
state, county, whatever, whoever gives you that official ag exemption, then then we're ag, and we're
Right.
ag till the day we die, because nothing. We got 3 cows.
Right. I'm ag on
We
10
qualify for ag with the acreage, and we got 3 cows. We're ag. We meet the requirements.
But the
But we're
minute,
talking about two different things. You're talking
but the
about
minute you
state
carve off an acre,
exemptions.
then you got to come in and talk to us.
Yeah,
Correct.
But go ahead.
It's two different issues. You're talking about state exemptions. You can have city-zoned property.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the zoning is, and you can go get you an ag exemption.
Mhm.
We're looking at trying to control isn't the best word, but
Yeah.
Well, and the other.
all this land adjoining the town roads.
Mhm.
So why wouldn't all of it just still, if it abutted a county road, a town road, farm to market, why wouldn't it be zoned all of it single family or business?
Well, but here's the thing. I mean, if you look along the Dallas Tollway, the Haggard Farm,
Mhm.
Well,
okay,
Used to.
on the North Dallas Tollway.
Yeah.
most towns, correct me if I'm wrong, there's, once you have ag land and you start chopping it off and selling off pieces, at some point, and it's usually around 5 acres, you lose your ag
Mm-hmm.
right there. I went down to Plano. We had the land across the road from where all those white office buildings are with the blue glass right there at the booth.
Mm.
All right,
Mhm.
right there. And that soil's so rocky. We would pay Haggard, who had the farm across the road. He'd drive his combine and all of his equipment over the bridge, go over there, plow our property up. We'd plant something. First couple of years, they harvested there. Then at the end, he said, "Man, you got so you're down to 5 acres. We're not doing this anymore." I said, "Well, what if I pay you to plow it?" We went to the city. The city said the same thing. They said, "Look, you're down close to 5 acres. This ag's going away." I said, "Look, you have rollback taxes, as you're familiar with. We're going to get there. Give us one more year, because all we're going to do is delaying the rollback taxes. That's all we're doing. Just give us one more year." We went over to Haggard and says, "Now, what will it cost for you to go over there, plow it, and plant some?" We didn't even harvest. We just planted. Okay, and then by then we sold the what's that hotel, or that building, the kind of looks like a big house. It's an office. We sold that, and then a little hotel behind it, and then we're done. So you're right. Just let it stay ag. Don't zone the front of it. It's zoned as long, but we have to decide as long as it's more, let's say 5 acres.
Well,
Mom?
we have it greater than 5
already have
acres
it.
now.
Well,
5 acres and up, you're ag, and leave it alone until you decide to do something. Like Grande Verde, we all have this different zoning there. Our deed restriction says we can't subdivide. Why do we need any zoning but ag if I have more than 5 acres?
Well, this whole town could be zone ag, and you can put the restrictions, the building restrictions, all underneath it, and be done with it.
Right, anything over 5 acres. Just
But
chew
I
on
have
that
to-
for a little bit.
But I have to come back and ask, Dale. I'm sorry to interrupt, and I'm asking questions, and I don't have a lot of answers, so
Mhm.
I'm going to be that guy. How many people actually have 5 acres in the town limits with
Nobody.
getting that?
Very few.
So
I
why do
mean,
we need the zone?
Somebody that's got a lot of road frontage would have 5 acres.
Well, that's been answered. I don't have it, but I have the answer at home.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, how
I'd
many?
love to know that. I'm just curious. Whatever.
It's a small number, 15
Right.
or something
okay, so
like that.
which is what we're all thinking. We don't have to have. the-
Yeah, that was answered for something that we were doing
Yeah.
here last,
Okay,
not
bring it to
the
us.
last year, but last
So,
year.
like
Let's
he-
see it.
So spending a lot of time on the ag.
Is a waste of
It
time.
is. It's a
We
waste.
need to have
It's the SF1, SF2.
one. Correct.
Those
That's
are the
where we
ones.
spend our time.
Right.
Those are going to be what we make for it to be simple for everyone to understand and be okay. This is what you classify under. This is what, because
But-
it's so easy and basic as
But
to
we
what
put
the
the
standards are.
stopgap in there, and anytime you subdivide, then you have to come ask for zoning. And then you let the current conditions of the town dictate. Some council 5 years from now, 10 years from now, will make that choice, not us.
Well, the size in itself, once they subdivide it, would automatically.
Exactly.
It's going to fall into
That
the
would
bucket.
trigger it. So your ag, as long as you're raising cows and enjoying life, have that. Just a thought. It's something for you to keep you awake at night, thinking about.
Yeah, I think that issue is a little bit simpler than all the rest, for sure.
Yeah. But boy, that would clear up our job in many ways.
I think, honestly, I mean, I don't even think or really worry about the ag. I think
Yep.
that our headache, our big job is this SF2 and 1.
Yep.
Agreed.
And then once that's like, we get that
Mhm.
modified, then we're like, okay, we're going to be on this modified road and we know what it is now. We're going to be going through here and striking out a lot of stuff or simplifying it to, I'm not going to say down to nothing, but
Right.
it's going to be,
A short document.
I mean, Parker's is very short. And I have a feeling after we get this to where we want this 2 and 1, that we're going to be able to go through ours
I agree.
and strike it out
Yeah,
a lot
agree
easier.
with
We
you.
just
Yeah.
we've got to
Ours-
get and settled of what we're happy with, what we can do to make it fair
Well,
for these two big categories, and then
but you know,
we-
Robert,
Remove the
when we have
conflict.
these hearings, I mean, there has to be a certain number of hearings. That's when we're going to hear.
oh, I know. Oh, believe me, I
And,
know.
and what do you
We're
think
going to
people?
hear.
So if overall, I mean, obviously, y'all have a lot more interaction with the people in the town. Are people going to look at it negatively because what we're trying to write or thinking about is going to
Absolutely.
protect tiny lots? It's
I-
going to protect
Some
acres,
people will.
3/4 acres.
I'm going
Absolutely.
to
But they already exist.
right, but it doesn't.
So-
It doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you from previous, not just hearings here in our dealing with public hearings with the public. Period. When it comes to properties,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter. Like I get, we have stuff already in play, and we're trying to make it better, simpler, easier for them to understand and to do things with their properties. People, you gonna maybe have 2, 3 the most that are happy or okay with what we're doing. Other than that, they're all going to get up, they're all going to bitch, they're going to complain, they're not going to like it, they're not going to be happy with it. I'm just, those are the ones that are going to speak out at the hearing, are all the ones that are, like I said, you're going to have maybe 2, 3 the most that will speak positive. Everybody else is going to be up there griping, complaining, well, this, and this, because we're not going to make everyone happy. And these people in small towns freak out.
Well, and none of this is going to benefit the town in tax dollars. It's not going to increase
Yeah.
tax dollars because there's no tax. So it's. I think it should be looked at favorably. That
Well,
the purpose of this is to protect who already lives here.
and I think, or I'm
Otherwise, why are we
hoping
doing it?
with the fact that last time when it did pass, people got really pissed. And I think with them knowing that we are trying to make it better, simpler for them to understand it, and
Oh,
I'm
that fight
hoping we
was
will
zoning
have-
plus the map all together.
I'm hoping
we're at
that
a point that
this will be where people do see it more as a positive or a benefit. But I'm gonna tell you, more likely it's not.
Well,
So-
I outer. Let's take for example outer loop road that's coming from Collin County. Proposed routes right now, it's preferred to go down 548 through Tate Farms, and they conceded that they would let the state take the front of their land, and it was the path of least resistance. But there's still other paths that are being looked at, and one of them is into Hunt County, on the edge of Poetry, at the end of Whitehead Road, 2434, along a path that would take it back to 548, and that is how close development is getting to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And everything that D.R. Horton has been doing and what D.R. Horton had already built that is close to us.
Mm-hmm.
That this yes is meant to protect us and everybody else. I don't want development.
Yep.
Did I move here to move on a 1 acre lot? No, but I realize that they exist. I
Yes, they have rights
realize
too.
that 200 acre sites exist. So it all has to exist cohesively, and everybody have the same rights of enjoyment of what they own or already owned before this incorporation.
Yep.
So
That should be our goal right there.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly what we should do.
now,
But we got to be fair. That's all we're saying.
You
'Cause you know
can't
what,
let
the
D.R.
whole-
Horton
what's
barrel
fair
up
to
in
one
here
person
and-
is not fair
Well,
to
but we
another.
need to try to be as
That's the
fair as we
problem.
can to as many people
Yeah.
as we can.
I
There's
mean-
always going to be some people get hurt in this process.
Yeah.
Always. But at the end
and
of
it could
the
be
day,
it could
you
be
don't
us
like development,
because
you have every right to move further out.
well,
That's
I mean,
really the
Brady, the Jacks land, they've got 40-something acres.
yes.
Before the Jacks bought it, Dr. Allen was going to subdivide it,
Mhm.
just down the street from you. And so,
Next door.
and then the kids, he died, the kids wanted to do it. A lot of hassles. They ended up selling to Daryl Jack, who kept it like it is. When he dies, it's probably going to be subdivided.
Mhm.
That's across from me, next to you.
Yeah.
So it's coming. But then only 5 acres maybe is in the town.
But see,
The rest of that 40 acres is in the
see,
ETJ.
that's what most people don't realize. We're sitting here talking residential and this and that. The people we need to be most afraid of is the children of large land.
Always.
Always.
Yep.
It's always
That's really
okay.
the deal.
They want the money. They don't
Right.
want poultry.
Well, I
And
mean,
so
I can tell you that from experience because just like my mother, my grandpa has his property runs corner to corner and then back some.
Uh-huh.
And of course, my grandparents, when they were about 15 years ago, they were smart and realized how
Where it's coming.
greedy
what's
her
coming.
husband is and she is, and listened. And my grandpa sold the 18 acres out from behind her, and there's only the 20. And so she's just waiting for them to kick the bucket so that she can sell the 19 point something acres that's pasture and the other acre something that's the house,
Mhm.
which will be a huge hairy deal because the water meter is on the deed with the acreage for the house that's on a different
Yeah.
deed.
That's why my dad's estate.
So I mean, that's the thing. I mean, people these days, these grandkids and kids, they are waiting for the old people
And-
to die and sell that land
And
off.
if they don't live in poetry now, they're not coming back.
Oh yeah.
They're not. That's the same thing about Dad's estate. So it was this one tract of land, the camp on Lake Fork, and it got to where the value was so high,
Mm-hmm. That's the
and there's
problem.
4 heirs.
Mhm.
Who's got the money to buy 3 heirs out? And that's what. And says, okay, well, let me and my brother, we'll develop it. No, I don't want to wait for my money. The 2 girls said, we want our money now. Okay, sell the whole damn thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
And they chopped it up.
Yep.
And when you talk about, say, what you're talking about across the street from us, say if you have the roadway, a strip of land that's 5 acres or so, and let's say you have 40, 50 plus acres back here, that's ETJ.
Yeah.
What
90% of it.
what control does the town have over this, and will it ever to limit development back here?
Because the old Horton come in and buy it, and they put his detention.
So here's
pond right
your
up on the road.
pond, and here you have your little walking trail, and you laugh. That's exactly. It's the reality. But then, what right does the town have to tell those heirs that no, you can't take your grandparents'
Well, we
land?
don't. You can't because of the Fifth Amendment taking clause.
Exactly.
You can't take it away.
You got a right to
So-
a court. You got a right to just compensation.
Yeah, no, that's the
Given that
court
our map
cases.
is the shape that it is, we don't have a lot of work with
It's true.
as far as keeping
the
development out.
the project developments are going to come in ETJ.
Yep.
Yeah,
for all
they're not
practical
coming to
purposes.
the.
And they'll use the town land
Just
for
like
access.
Bishop Field is just the
Mhm.
first.
Mhm.
Yep.
And the good thing though now, you've got to have a pretty good chunk of land to make the economics work for a development. That's one saving grace that we have. We have a lot of large tracts of land, but a lot of them aren't really large enough for subdivisions.
There's a few, but yes, it takes quite a bit. But there's plenty of builders that will build high end on
Yeah.
1 acre
And
and
on 1 acre. Yeah.
Well,
then
just
and
like
get
what-
1.5 million or so for them.
We were under the impression Bishop Field was going to come in with low income housing. It's not.
Yeah.
When we got their plans, this is going to be 400,000 to 500,000 for each of those.
Yeah.
Whatever they are.
Well,
Now
that's a
they're-
modest house these days,
350
really.
now.
They're expensive.
Yeah.
So they're coming in with high end, so they can do that's whatever it is. The acreage they have, it's going to end up like 5 houses per acre, or almost 5 per acre.
Yeah.
But it's going to be
Mac mansion.
400,000 each.
Yeah,
So-
Mac mansions.
So
Or
that's
the-
how they can do it. So the Jack's land, you could do something similar. Someone could do that.
If you got topography
you
and
could go in
trees,
the-
you could easily do that, and it would sell.
You could take the Jackson, you could put them on 6,000 acre lots. It doesn't matter. You
Yeah,
could
6,000.
do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And not 6,000 acres,
Well,
6,000
and
square
that's
foot
what
sites.
The
So-
Bishop Field was about is they went
Yeah.
in and bought it all up from the bishops.
Yeah.
And then did a few other things, and now they want to put in high income houses,
Yeah.
and we didn't know that.
Yeah.
Until recently,
What did anything ever come of the fuel tanks and all that stuff?
where they got no. The answer is
Are we gonna adjourn and I can stop the?
the seventh.
Yeah, well, Jern,
Sure.
Go ahead, sorry.
We've got the
I'll second.
hearing coming up in Royce City on 12.
I don't know, I lost